Good evening. Welcome to Donaldsonville this evening. I would like to begin this call to order this regular meeting of the Ascension Parish Council on June 4th here in Donaldsonville. At this time I would like to ask Councilman Thomas to open our meeting with the invocation and lead us in the pledge. If you'll stand and please remain standing.
Let's bow our heads, please. Oh, Heavenly Father, as we come at this hour, come, Lord, to say thank you for the many blessings that you bestowed upon each of us. Oh, Father, we thank you, Lord, for the opportunity to come and take care of parish business. Oh, Lord, we come asking, Lord, that you continue to bless our families, bless our children, those grandchildren. And, oh, God, we ask, Lord, that you bless America, Father. We ask, Lord, that you would guide this Ascension Parish, that you would bless us and keep us. We ask, Lord, that you would direct our hearts and minds and enable us, Lord, to bind together, to be Ascension Parish strong. We thank you for the opportunity tonight. We ask, Lord, that you allow us to make it home safe and sound to our loved ones. In your name we pray, God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit. And we all say it, amen?
Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Gosh, after all those weeks on video and then in Gonzales, it's odd not to be seeing yourself in the front. Welcome again, everyone. Everyone is present this evening with the exception of Councilman Turner, who has let me know that he is on his way. He is running just a tad late. There are no chairs additions at this time. The public sign-in period will be announced with each item, and if you have a public comment, please feel free to take a red or a green card and fill that out, get it to Cinnamon, and let's make sure that you have an opportunity to speak on any item about which you have particular interest. Item number 5 is the Parish President's Report. Mr. Quintmall. Good to see you this evening, sir.
Good to see you, Chairwoman Casso. 2020 has been one of those years with a pandemic that is very new to all of us and how to handle it, and now we are in pre-storm preparedness for our first real hurricane or tropical storm event or basically weather event of 2020. Chairwoman, with your permission, I would like some of my staff to be able to come up and talk about some of the pre-storm activities and some of the things that we've been doing in the last few days, as well as leading up to possible landfall, with your permission.
Absolutely. Thank you for doing that.
Thank you. I'd like Mr. Ron Savoy to come up and start with our DPW activities. Ron?
Yes. Good evening.
Good evening, Ron.
Council and Chairwoman Casso. Thank you for having us. As always, as Clint said, we've challenging times, but we got a great team at Ascension Parish government, and we've been pulled together, and the staff has been non-stop with merging out of routine ditch digging and cleaning to removal of blockages and trees that have fallen and clogs. Anything they see, when they see it, they're stopping, addressing it, picking it up, unclogging drains, hauling it off, getting these things open and ready for our next rain event, as we've already had 2 or 3 pumping events this year, recently, last couple of weeks. So out of that pumping mode, we're inspecting drains, bridges, out in boats, cleaning and clearing. With that, that's the primary deal, is our pumping stations and infrastructure going to it. All stations are ready to go. Satellite pump stations, Buxton Subdivision, Astro Land, Sorrento Levee, all of those sites are up, ready, inspected, ready to go. Staff is ready, shifts A and B, night and day. Everything we have is ready to go. That will cover the drainage department's role in the pumping. And we have other layers of government, our vegetation management group. They've been non-stop at sandbagging, and their efforts are shown by Parish President making the call to open up these sea cans with the surplus of pre-bagged sand. That is all their work. Our parish employees did that. It's 40,000 roughly sandbags on hand to start this and prepared, and we also branched off and hauled loose sand to other sites where we do not have DC cans, and Rachel later on may touch on that. But that layer is sandbagging, and portable pump sites is vegetation. They will man that day and night. They're prepared to do so and are ready. Right in the morning, they'll be out clearing drains through the weekend in preparation for whatever may come our way. Then the pavement management group, they're in assistance of the trucking as far as the sand to the portable, the sites where we haul the loose sand. They'll be controlling that and making sure they stay full. And also, they are our cut and push. So the front end of this event will be prepared for water control. And as it comes and approaches, we're ready for whatever front comes our way, be it traffic control, opening up our roads, getting them back ready if we get trees and wind. So across the board, whatever comes our way, I assure you, your residents of the parish, our employees are ready to go. And constant communication across the board from our departments through purchasing, OEP, parish president, administration. We've had multiple meetings. We've been talking about this for a week, if not a little longer. And we have plenty of inventory of sandbags. We've got new shipments in today. We got sand coming in to replenish our sand pile, and we have more ordered if needed. So we assure you, we are doing everything we can for the residents in preparation of this event. And with that, I'll open up any questions or yield back to President.
Are there any questions, gentlemen? Thank you, Ron, for your very thorough report. Mr. Lambert.
Yep. Yeah, thank you, Ron, and Parish President, for getting on this so early, and this is going to really get us out front. It's just with, 3 weeks ago, we were dealing with 5.5 inches. Some of our parishes north of us received 13 inches. So that's going to be the critical point. If, sales are high and this thing sets in and it settles, that's what's going to get everyone worried. But everything to pre-bagging, everything we do at the stations, I know y'all on top of that, and just everyone staying real in touch with each other, and you're doing real well with that. So, thank y'all.
Thank you. We will certainly keep you informed. I did not touch on that, but we are certainly prepared with our pumping stations to enact early, and we know it's coming, and we will definitely react in a very, very precautious way as we see it coming.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Ron. We appreciate you. Mr. President, who's next?
Yeah, we'll have Dot from OEP give us the weather report.
Thank you. Congratulations, Assistant Director. We appreciate you.
Thank you, Councilman. Thank you, Council Chair, so much. I appreciate that more than y'all know. I really do. Apparently, I've been known lately around here as the hurricane forecast guy. A lot of people have been leaning on me for some things, so perhaps that's one of the reasons why I was fortunate enough to be promoted. So what I'd like to do is give you guys, I had the 4 p.m. briefing here. We receive all information directly from the National Weather Service. For over 7 days now, we've seen a lot on social media. We've seen a lot of computer modeling. Well, unfortunately, although it's out there in the media, we follow officially what comes from the National Weather Service. So, when you guys get something from our office via email, it's coming directly from the Weather Service. Just received the 5 p.m. update. So what I'd like to do is tell you guys where we're at with the storm projection, and then I'll turn it over to Director Wilkinson, and she'll discuss our EOC activation procedures. So, as of now, Cristobal remains a tropical depression. So, Cristobal has interacted with land. Mexico, that is a high terrain area. There are some mountains in that area. It has weakened. Unfortunately, we do still have another day and a half time where this system is going to sit over that before it begins drifting over into the Gulf of Mexico over the weekend. Currently, the greatest threats from a tropical storm like this, is minor to moderate coastal flooding and the potential for some heavy rainfall. When you're looking at a tropical storm, winds are between 45 and 75 miles per hour. We can get anywhere between that, which could be minimal, which could be on the higher scale of that. That all depends on the eventual track. On that note, it does not appear at this time that we could be looking at a stronger system. Confidence from the National Weather Service and the National Hurricane Center is slowly increasing that it looks like this system may not be able to generate into anything stronger. So if there's any fortunate news out of that, that is one that I'd like us to take into consideration. But the wind impacts that we receive from this system will be dependent on this eventual track, how much time it has over open warm water, and what it interacts with. And by interact with, what I'd like to elaborate on with that is we're expecting a little wind shear with this, and this is coming directly from the National Weather Service. And that should hinder substantial development from this system. Okay? Again, it is expected to remain at a tropical storm intensity. On the current forecast track, the likelihood of a direct impact, and again, this is coming directly from the National Weather Service, it continues to increase. And by that, you may have seen on local media and from the emails that we've sent you guys lately, the forecast has been not very favorable. It was very uncertain. So on a scale from 1 to 10, the National Weather Service and the National Hurricane Center had a confidence level of about 4. And that's from a severe level, you know, if we're looking at a severe storm or not, and from a track forecast perspective. Their confidence level is at a 4 out of 10. However, as every day goes by, that confidence level is slowly increasing. If you see the computer models on social media, on television, you can see that if there's one thing you can recognize out of this is that it has stayed consistent. It has consistently had models that has its eyes on us here in Louisiana. At this time, going back to wind probabilities, we have about a 35% chance of receiving tropical storm force winds. And again, that's between 45 and 75 miles per hour. Currently, again, just to reiterate, they are not expecting intensification to a Category 1 storm, and that's up as tonight. Again, as we all know, that could change by tomorrow morning. The earliest reasonable time that we will be able to expect that would be Sunday. So we are looking at the most modest impact from this to be on Sunday. However, what I'd like to stress is when we're looking at, forgive me for lack of a better term, sloppy systems like these, you have outer bands. Those outer bands are what produce the heavy rainfall. It keeps it from having that core eye. So when you're looking at a center of circulation, you know, you don't really have that in a storm. That's unfortunate because it allows rain bands to veer off, and that's what causes the heavy rain threat. So on the heavy rain, I'd like to close on this, looking at it. I have a worst case scenario projection here. We did email that all to you yesterday, and after I finish this meeting, I actually have to go send out another one with this updated information. The most reasonable worst case scenario estimated rainfall projection for us here in Ascension Parish for this storm is forecast to be 8 to 10 inches over a I want to stress this, over a 6-day period of time. That includes today, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. However, as we've seen only a few weeks ago, it only takes one storm to continue rapidly intensifying and continue to produce a heavy rainfall rate, an hourly rainfall rate. So what they do is they don't take that into consideration. They say without something like that occurring, this is the worst case scenario, okay? So on that note, yesterday you may have noticed we were issued a flood watch. So we were putting a flood watch until Tuesday, and that's probably going to remain in effect throughout through this. I'd like to close on saying expect that to change. We've learned to utilize technology a lot throughout COVID-19. You guys all received a lot of emails from us throughout that. You received some yesterday, and we're going to continue that up. Any questions from me? If not, I'll turn it over to my director. I hope I didn't speak too fast for y'all. I do apologize.
Thank you so much.
I think we've all had the ability to look at the professionalism of our next speaker. If we had to put it into an analogy, in a football analogy, this is Ascension Parish's superstar quarterback, Rachel Wilkerson, OEP.
Go ahead and follow that.
Right. That's OEP's...
No pressure.
Right, no pressure. OEP's been very, very busy. So just to remind you that the Emergency Operations Center has been activated since March 13th. So we have been in COVID response since March 13th. So we will continue our COVID testing at Lamar-Dixon until Friday, tomorrow at 12. So we will continue our COVID response today and tomorrow. We will begin transitioning into tropical weather activation. So we have our site open till noon tomorrow. Then GOSEP and the Louisiana National Guard are going to suspend all testing sites for a week. So when we transition into COVID response, we will return to testing at Lamar-Dixon on June 15th. Will remain the same, so that's next week suspended, that's the following Monday. So just as a quick recap, in Donaldsonville we tested 1,850 residents. So far in Gonzales, as of today at 12, we've tested 549 residents. So President Whitmore would like another week to give, at least another week to give the residents, if they would like a test, to come and do that. So a lot of planning and a lot of meetings we've been coordinating with administration, all the departments, with Ron and his crew. Wednesday we started our planning and our coordination meetings, and we began sandbagging operations at Lamar-Dixon. So one thing that Ron and I worked on is to consolidate the sandbagging operations. Everything is now at Lamar-Dixon. So we worked this week to tie all of that together. So today we continued those sandbagging operations. I went out there early this morning and the guys were still out there working away. Our EOC is activated from COVID, so we started to transition that today. So we called our emergency operations staffing out, and we will transition that tomorrow. So we will pause COVID response, and now we will transition into potential weather. Friday, our staff is going to work a whole day tomorrow, and we're going to coordinate the transition of that. Our plan as of now is to activate the EOC, a full activation on Saturday. I have some ladies that are going to come in and man the phone from Saturday afternoon to Saturday night. We're going to let our A shift go home and get some rest. Sunday, we're going to come in early. Dustin and I were talking. The storm is still shifting, so right now we're looking at 6 to 6 is kind of what we're toying around with. We'll make that final decision tomorrow. And then we've advised our staff to pack a bag because the timing of the storm, there's a chance that we'll have to work through Sunday, spend the night, and work until Monday. So that depends on the timing. So OEP is kind of a coordination agency working through daily operations, and we really jump into that during response. So one big thing that the parish is responsible for is sheltering operations. Due to COVID response, we will have limited, if no, assistance through American Red Cross. So Dustin and I have been working with Lamar-Dixon to have sheltering operations should we need to activate that at Lamar-Dixon. So we'll have to have 2 shelters. One will be a COVID positive or symptomatic shelter, and the other shelter will be what we consider to be a well shelter. So we're ready to operate that should we need. Kyle and his staff at Lamar-Dixon has offered his staffing to us to help. So we have been coordinating that as well. The shelter will be run by our employees, Ascension Parish government employees, and Lamar-Dixon staffing. So that's our plan moving forward of what our plan is for activation. So I would like to say our staff has been running with Nike since March 13th. I mean, we have been, so this is the first time that we'll have the opportunity to have 2 separate incidents running at the same time. So we're going to kind of pause the COVID, although we're not going to forget about it. We're going to have to pause those operations through next week until we see. So Dustin and I have been working on a timeline, so we are transitioning into our potential weather. So you're going to start getting those emails for unified command calls and updates on weather, and what from Ron, his updates, from OEP, our updates as a parish. That'll be coming from our office, from OEP. So I apologize for the influx of emails that you will probably receive over the next couple of days. But it's just our form of working. So 621-8360 is the Office of Homeland Security's number. 450-1200 is the call center. As you know, those 2 operations mold into one. So either phone number, if a resident would call or you should call, will get us in the Emergency Operations Center. So that was a project we did in 2018 and 19, is to gel those operations together. So Our systems gel, the ladies answer the phone, we're all in the same office, our phone system is united, so, if you need something, or a resident needs something, either one of those will be available.
Rachel, would you repeat those numbers, please?
621-8360, that's the Office of Homeland Security, that's our regular number. 450-1200, that's the call center. So that's the number that we've been pushing to the public for the last year or so since we opened the call center. So it's just the operation of during an emergency, we kind of gel together for that. So that's how you would be able to get in touch. So the Emergency Operations Center kind of is a hub for pushing information in and out during an emergency meeting.
Thank you, ma'am.
And that's all I got.
Any questions, gentlemen? Mr. Ogeron?
Yes.
Rachel,
Yes.
thanks for what you do.
Thank you.
I heard you discussing the possibility of a shelter, and we're looking at possible COVID positives and then a wellness location. As you were saying, it just popped in my head. Would it be advisable for us to maybe put a third unit out there for the high-risk individuals? Age, people who may have pre-existing conditions, that sort of stuff, and separating them from the wellness group just in case someone may have not tested yet but could have the disease. I'm just thinking out loud. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sure you've delved into all the possibilities, and I'm just wondering if y'all thought.
It's definitely something we can look at. Christy Burnett, our health unit director, and her staff has been amazing through the COVID response. So we have, which we're lucky because Ascension Parish government, we have our health unit, which is a medical staff. A lot of parishes don't have that. Christy has split her shifts, so we have used her employees through this whole time, so we've had our staffing to do that. So we also have agreements with Our Lady of the Lake and hospitals should we need any type of medical services. That's something that OEP has. We work with Dr. Trevino on those services. So Lamar Dixon is a large facility that offers a lot, so it's definitely something that we can look into.
Yeah, I'm definitely not the expert. I defer to you guys
Sure,
as the
yeah.
experts, but it was just a thought. I'm thinking, the more we divide people, the more we separate the healthy from the potentially more vulnerable, I think the
Sure.
better off we are.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Mr. Coach?
Yeah. This, Rachel, all of the things you talked about just now, the West Bank is considered is involved in all of this, right?
Of course, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I didn't hear anything.
We have been working with DPW West. I've been in touch with David Weil and Kim with the sandbagging operations and all the sandbagging stuff here. And during an emergency, telephone, radio communications, I talked to Mr. David today and Kim today about radios and the communication tools that we have with OEP. Unfortunately, it's just the demographics of the way it is. The Sunshine Bridge separates two sides of the parish, so we do the best we can. This year we upgraded our technology into some video conferencing. So that's one thing that was on Dustin and I's radar for 2020. That's one thing we want to look into. We had it years ago, technology changes. So we installed some cameras in our office, and we're going to try to position that around the parish. So when things like this happen, the mayor's office and the city officials here in Donaldsonville can participate in a live Zoom, if you will, way. So that's one of the things we're working forward to. To grab onto Donaldsonville during those meetings.
As a member of Ascension Parish Council, I would like to be informed on some of those things.
Okay, sure.
Okay?
Absolutely.
I'd rather not complain, but I'd rather not hear it in the street before it gets to me.
Sure. I mean, you're always welcome to call call the Homeland Security office or leave a message with one of the girls at the call center or Dustin and I. With the testing site being at Lamar Dixon in our office, we've just kind of been running back and forth. But certainly, if you need something, definitely.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Lawler?
Yes, ma'am. First of all, thank you. Good job
Thank
dealing
you.
with COVID-19, murder hornets. I believe you've dealt with
Yeah.
them already. We've got tropical storms coming. The sandbagging,
Yeah.
do we know yet what the hours will be, or if there will be hours? And if you would also, I know at some point it's going to become too dangerous to have people out there. If you could just not let us know now, because we don't know that yet, but I guess you and Doug will get together based on the weather and the conditions, and just give us a little bit of advance warning. 'Cause I know as soon as you tell people, hey, it's going to be open for 2 more hours, everybody shows up.
Right. So the great thing with the project of the sea cans is that you have the opportunity to fill the can and close the doors, and then when it's time to open the doors. So President Quillen made that decision today because the call center received a lot of phone calls inquiring about sea cans. So we decided to take that proactive approach to fill them up earlier in the week, anticipating that was today. So we made that decision today to open them up at 12. So it's a job. I mean, we have to fill them, we have to inspect them, so that is a good thing for the public, because we do have crews that are in and around and reviewing all the sea cans, radioing the Emergency Operations Center and the field guys, what the weather is like, what the level is of the sea can. So that's kind of an ongoing operation during an emergency, but approaching that, we'll monitor that in the EOC with our weather. And like Justin said earlier, it's just, right now the storm is just, until it gets out in the Gulf and we kind of know a little bit more of direction, then we start to make those calls.
Okay, so at night though, we're not gonna close the sea cans if people need to come late?
No, we've never closed it unless Parish President, I mean, I don't think that was ever a thought, is to close them and tell them you cannot have access to a sandbag.
Gotcha. Very good, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions, gentlemen? Thank you so
Thank you.
much, Rachel.
I just wanted to close with, obviously, we're paying very close attention to the governor and where he is in his declaration of emergency, and if he decides to go ahead and make that call, we'll follow suit as well. So, he just did? So we'll be following suit, obviously.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you. So that's the end of the report. Be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Are there any questions for the Parish President? No, sir. Thank
Thank
you
you.
very much. Item number 6, general business. A, approval of a change order number 2 for Shaw Construction Services CDBG 03 Parish Sewer Program Improvement Project, Hillaryville, Dara, and Astroland, to increase the contract by $13,755.84 and by 76 days for rain days and due to the COVID-19, and to authorize Parish President Clint Quintlaw to sign and execute documents pertaining to this project, and/or Gwen LeBlanc, CFO, for financial documents. Ms. Martha, great to see you.
Madam Chair, members of the council, President Quintmore. This is change order number 2. It has been vetted through our engineer,
Motion.
I have a motion by Councilman Turner, second by Councilman Cagnolati, to approve this change order. Are there any objections? Thank you very much. Did anybody have any questions? I failed to ask that. If there are no questions and no objections, that one passes, Ms. Martha.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item B, approval to apply for Louisiana CARES Act funds. I have a motion by Councilman Ogeron. Do I need to read further, O'Neill? Okay. I have a motion and a second by, who seconded over there? Heard one. Cagnolati? And y'all speak up. Are there any questions about this? Any objections? There are none. That
Thank you,
motion
Madam Chair,
passes.
members of the council.
Thank you. Item C, the acceptance of a donation by Westlake Chemical of a Ford F-450 4x2 crew chassis truck and an enclosed wagon trailer to be added to the fleet of the Ascension Parish Office of Homeland Security.
Motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second, and I have some folks who want to have comment.
I would just like to make a comment real quick. So our office was contacted by Westlake on engaging with our office on the response and community project. So I would just like to personally thank Westlake on allowing us the opportunity to do that. You know, during COVID response, I think Justin and I learned a lot, and to have a mobile command trailer that was ours that we could use out of communications and working through that, we lacked. We did not have that in OEP. So we've been talking about this project for a while, and then COVID happened, so we had to kind of suspend those projects. But I would just like to thank you for that. It's a great honor to have a great relationship with our chemical plant industry that thinks about government entities like this during a response mode. So would you like to say anything, Clinton?
Sure, I just wanted
Okay,
to,
perfect.
Thank you.
Councilwoman, council members, thank you for the opportunity to speak, Rachel, too. Westlake is very happy to be able to partner with this. We did reach an agreement with EPA on an enforcement action, which is how this came about. So as part of the settlement of that enforcement action, Westlake has agreed to undertake a supplemental environmental project, which, as Rachel said, is going to provide for improved emergency response for the parish. So truck, trailer, and some of the resources to go along with that. So, and additionally, that will be costing approximately $166,000 is what we're donating to the parish. In addition to that, we did agree to the EPA to a civil penalty enforcement action of $132,000. So we were able to keep most of the money within the parish for local use. And as a result of that agreement, we're hoping to continue to keep our close relationship with both the parish and our OEP office to continue moving forward as a community and industry. And with that, thank you very much.
Sure, we thank you. And all our chemical partners. We really appreciate this. It's very, very kind of your corporation. We understand the circumstances under which the donation was made, but we are grateful that you did see fit to do that inside the parish. Thank you very much. Do any of our councilmen have a comment or a question? Mr. Cagnolati.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Scroggins, I've been knowing him for quite a while. People, I think, sometimes take for granted the good neighbors that we have in the chemical processing industries throughout our parish. This is just one example, and I'm sure there have been many, and there will be many more. And I just wanted to express my appreciation to Westlake. Y'all could have done what you wanted with this money or paid it all to the EPA. She chose to spend it locally and keep it in the parish, and it's going to provide a tremendous asset for our OEP folks. So I just want to thank you and keep up the good work.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Any other questions or comments? We have a motion and a second. Are there any objections to the acceptance of this donation? Hardly not. So we thank you so much. That motion passes. Thank you, sir. Item D, an amended resolution to establish guidelines for the parish social media. That amended resolution is in your packet. O'Neill, you need to read that resolution as it's amended. Thank you. And I think, Mr. Lawler, we had talked about an additional amendment, which I think we probably would need to pass the amended resolution, and then, no, we can just amend again.
Yes.
And add the transportation issues, transportation matters, so that the administration is able to post things that are relevant to traffic matters until these policies are complete. I understand that they're nearing completion, and that a couple of the councilmen have seen them. I look forward to seeing them. And so I would, Chair would entertain a motion to amend and to pass this amended resolution. Mr. Long.
I'll make a motion that we pass the amended resolution as amended to include the transportation communications and open up for discussions. I do have questions.
Certainly. I have a motion by Mr. Lawler and a second by Mr. Cagnolati. And the floor is open for discussion. Mr. Lawler.
Yeah, part of my concern, Mr. President, I want to make sure that you understand why this is being done. Because I've seen that you believe that this is to censor your communication with the people. I can assure you that this has nothing to do with censoring your communication with the people. You've also said that it's a free speech issue, and I'm not really sure where it comes from. It seems to be a misunderstanding. Clearly, you are entitled to communicate with people as you please through your personal website. However, there's a great distinction. We have done nothing to censor your communication. I'm not sure where this belief is coming from, and you're welcome to elaborate on it, but you are free to communicate with the public as you see fit through your personal website and through your political website even, provided it's not speaking on behalf of the parish. And the issue arose because the Parish of Ascension Facebook page is speaking for everybody on this dais and yourself and your administration. And that should be informative communications. communications that are agreeable to all. And I think this really goes back to an analogy is that if we're talking about Exxon, somebody cannot simply get on Exxon's page and say, hey, I'm speaking for Exxon. That is something that you get fired for immediately if anybody did that. The concern is that the communications that you have been making were made on your behalf, not on the full parish's behalf. So to say that we are censoring your communication with the people, I think is either a grave misunderstanding or you're misrepresenting this to the constituents. Likewise, this has nothing to do with your ability to provide free speech and to engage in free speech. To say that, I think, once again, is either a grave misunderstanding or intentional trying to mislead people as a whistle to say, hey, this is, they're trying to harm my free speech. Nothing could be further from the truth. This could have been resolved much sooner and much quicker had different actions been taken, but the administration chose not to. And that is something that's unfortunate that we had to take it to this extent. But if you want, you can explain why you believe we are censoring your communications or we've inhibited your free speech.
Mr. President? Sorry.
Thank you for the clarification. I look forward to submitting the social media policy to the council for your input and opening this back up to communication. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any other questions?
I do.
Comments? Ms. Ogeron?
Mr. President, and Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
I think I've been fairly fortunate on this whole social media issue. I understand from third parties that I have been subject to several social media attacks from what I refer to as the social media mutts. Fortunately, I've been off of social media since the beginning of Lent, and I've rarely gotten on it. So I haven't been the victim, so to speak, because the rabid little doggies don't have any real effect on me at this point. But saying that, I don't appreciate the notion that it's encouraged both in our parish, in our state, and in our nation. We're seeing something very similar taking place nationwide with this, with the riots that are taking place over the death of the African American male in Minneapolis, and we're watching social media rip us apart. We're watching social media, those members of quote-unquote Antifa and those members, quote-unquote, of the Trump brigade, going at each other vigorously, filled with hate, filled with evil. And we need to get past that. 5 months ago today, or no, I'm trying to think of, today is the 6th.
Fourth.
Today's the 4th. 5 months ago this Saturday, we all took an oath, and we all swore allegiance not just to the laws of this state and of this great land, but to the people, to the citizens of this parish, and to each other. And I know you and I have had some rocky conditions, but I keep stressing to you, and I think you keep stressing to me as well, that we got to get past this campaign stuff. We got to get past these childish things. If there's someone still out there who believes that they need to keep promoting and pushing a campaign mentality, you know what, man? You and I and Coach and Mr. Robert and everyone up there, we got to stand hand in hand, and we got to go and we got to voice opposition against those people. We got to tell them, get off, get back, get out. It's time for Ascension Parish to move on and grow up. And I think we can do that together. I think we can do it if we work together and if we're willing to work together. If communications between members of this body stop getting leaked and sent out to people with a little ha-ha gotcha type scenario, we need to get past that. That's for all of us, myself included. myself included, I know that when my emotions get high, my tempers get high. And I'm a vigorous advocate, always have been. But with these guidelines, I'm hoping, one, today, you and your staff can give us a timeline as to when we can expect this to be presented before us. I don't really ever feel comfortable signing off on a resolution that says we're going to establish guidelines and not have some semblance of an outline of these guidelines for us to look at. So, you know, and I don't want it to look like we're slapping you on the wrist or that we're punishing you. That's definitely not what I'm trying to do. Through good fortune, one of our fellow councilmen advised me of a letter that was sent out earlier this week, last week, I don't know what it was, I think it was last week. I still have mine sitting on my desk sealed. I hadn't opened it. You know, fortunately, I knew it was coming, and I said, you know what? Some ignoramus who is a coward who refuses to put their name on a document is going to send something out. You know what? Screw them. I don't need to read it. I don't need to give them the time of day to do so, you know. And we need to get past all that and work together. And you know, I beg of you to do so with us. Like I said, I have no problem. If we want to wear a mask, if we need to do elbow bumps, I'm okay with it. You know, but I have no problem walking side by side with you and making sure that we're all capable of knocking this out. But we need to all stop this battling amongst, you know, who said, she said, who's going to win, whatnot. And let's get together with each other and let's make it happen. My friend, okay? I certainly appreciate it.
I have another councilman who wishes to speak. If you would like to take a moment,
Sure.
go right ahead, Mr.
Yeah,
President.
I want to commend you on the reaching out of communication. Our relationship has certainly improved from that rocky standpoint, and I look forward to it continuing improving. And so we both taken those steps. I am 100% supportive of policy. I love policy. And so I am looking forward to the next council meeting and submitting that policy to this council. Appreciate
Thank you, sir. I did not insist on a deadline because I wanted to give the administration time to work on this and get it to us. Mr. Robert had a comment.
For the record, I believe Exxon, their CPA or their president can speak for them. And secondly, I don't want to be grouped in with the group that Councilman Ogeron was saying are together against this. Personally, I think it's a big, I guess the word that comes to mind is I'm a little befuddled that we're sitting here wasting time talking about this. I haven't seen any issues or heard anything about social media until one of our councilmen posted the wrong agenda to Facebook. Ever since then, it's become a big deal, big issue. I think let's move forward. Let's drop this. Honestly, President Quintmall, I don't see why you're even entertaining the option to do this. With that said, I guess you are. But I feel like with everything else going on here, why are we sitting here talking about social media, who can do this, who can do that? I mean, come on. Thank you.
Chairman?
Yes, sir.
I actually do believe a policy is necessary. I really do. I really do. And so I look forward to establishing one. I think it's necessary. In my personal opinion, yes, we have operated without one, as Mr. Councilman Robert said. But I believe, look, we're doing a policy on lowering the staff, lowering the flag half staff. I mean, and that's okay. That clears up confusion. It clears up how we operate, and I'm encouraged with that. So, thank you, Mr. Robert, but I do. I look forward to the guidelines of the policy. I really do, and I'm being honest. I really do. So let's move forward, and let's get past this. And you're 100% right. Let's get past it.
Thank you, sir. All right. I think that's all the comments. Does anyone else have any? Does anyone have any objections to the amended resolution? There are no objections, and so that motion passes. We look forward to those guidelines at the next meeting. Thank you. Item E, approval of a professional services contract between Ascension Parish government and Gresham Smith for traffic engineering services.
So
Not-
moved, Mr. Chairman.
Have a motion by Councilman Dempsey Lambert,
Second.
second by Councilman Aaron Lawler. Oops, Michael Mason.
Anybody?
I don't remember who. Y'all gonna have to speak up. I don't know you.
We're both transportation, it's fine.
We've got all this glass, so we can't, the voices are not coming that way. And, so I have a motion and a second, and Mr. Lawler has a question.
Yeah, and the only reason I had voted against this before, it's a $49,500 contract, and it's my understanding that this is needed to help a developer begin to sell houses, which I think we have an obligation to do in this situation. But my question is, why are we doing a $49,500 contract for one project? And I thought we were moving away from these kind of 49,000, I call them the Bill Dawson contracts, not because I loved them, because he hates them. Why do we need a $49,000 contract to help a developer? I guess that's my question.
Yeah, Joey. We just had Tuesday night.
Mr. Turo, I'm glad you're here. Great to see you, sir.
Yeah, it is not, thanks for the opportunity, and I'm glad to explain that. It is not just for that one project. You know, we have some other things with Move Ascension that we do need the expertise of a transportation engineer, a traffic engineer. And so it's for other opinions that we need, you know, any expert, anytime we get an expert in a field, and I'm with transportation, traffic is a detailed, it requires professionalism to make good decisions on our projects that we create. So I do have that immediate need for that developer, but it's not just for that one project, that one item. I'm going to need him, and I'll rely on that expertise for Move Ascension quite a bit. You know, that developer, that's really a planning issue, but it requires a traffic engineer. So I mean, that's the answer. We're going to have more than one task for this contractor.
Okay. And look, once again, I've heard great things about the contractor. I've heard great things about the engineering firm, and I know we're doing a lot of good things. I just always, I'm getting more and more nervous with these $49,500 contracts, $49,000 contracts, because it's part of my money, it goes no bid, and then it's one of these things where we can always add on to it later, so you've just circumvented the bid process, which is worrisome.
Correct.
But I understand that we need them, and they do a good job.
And I can't tell you what the next task will be. I know the first task because it's something imminent that Jerome Fournier told me about that we need to get done really quick. The next task, I can't tell you what it is. I can't tell you how much it's going to cost. I just know that that expertise is a great tool to have in our toolbox.
Well, I'm going to vote yes for this because of your expertise and the good job that you've been doing. I trust you in this.
Thank you.
And I want you to remind us that this is the installation of a traffic signal, I believe, or timing of a traffic signal?
Installation of a traffic signal, which the parish has 0 right now. So, of course, all the installation will be, and the maintenance will be that developers, but it's in the parish, and DOTD is not going to touch it. All the other traffic signals in the parish are maintained by DOTD.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. And it is a not to exceed 49.5 contract. Yes, I have 2 other questions. Mr. Melanson.
Yeah, Mr. Turo, I see in the attachment it says that other I'm sorry, iPad's messing up, but they will also help with or traffic impact studies on developments. Is that something that they're going to assist us with?
There's an opportunity for that. They have that expertise, so, you know, if there's one, I know we have one already, you know, that Jerome Fournier uses, you know, that's already, you know, we have a contract with. It's just something that could be, you know, in case they need a third opinion.
Right, okay.
You know, second opinion on something, you know, we could use them. They have that expertise, so I'm just leaving it out there.
Okay.
Thank you. Mr. Ogeron.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Parrington. Councilman Lawler brings up a good point on the 49,500 below threshold contracts that seem to be more common in our parish than not. Is there a way that we can get together maybe and discuss an ordinance that we can limit the access to this operational tool to quote unquote avoid the bid law requirements? Are there ordinance, I mean,
The ordinance now requires anything over 50 to be to an RFQ or RFP, and we passed an ordinance authorizing it to go above the amount because of issues with auditing. So you could change the ordinance any way you want.
So we can change the dollar amount any way we want.
Right.
We could also make the ordinance such that there can be no additions to the contract.
Well, the problem...
So you put a maximum of 49.5 and that's all there is to it.
The only problem with that is we've run into this in the past, is you have someone doing a project and then you have to stop and start over again and pay twice for the project. That's why we made the addition to allow it to go above with council approval. It has to be approved by the council. Because it was an auditing issue, we either had two choices. Either you could continue with the contract that you had to get somebody to finish their project, or you went out and started all over again. You might get a whole separate, you might pay twice for the same project.
Or we hold the contractor accountable for working within the initial contract and the initial offer that they made to us.
But it's usually not for one project, it's for multiple jobs, and that's what I'm saying. You can start over again. That's the problem we occurred was when we were in the middle of a project and they encountered a problem that was unknown to anybody, and we either had to start over again. Right. Well, it was not a change order. They were doing an engineering problem, and there was something that arose.
Okay.
And so we either had to stop and start over, or we amended the ordinance because the auditor said it was going to be a problem for us not to.
Okay.
But that's a decision the council will make.
Okay, so it's up to some member of the council to come up with an ordinance, some language to submit.
Correct.
Okay, thank you, sir. I appreciate your legal opinion.
Any other questions or comments? Mr. Wagasback.
I just had a comment. I mean, I don't know if this makes sense, but if we're worried about 49.5 contracts, is there a way we can just get updates from each department on which ones are 49.5 and maybe get an update of what dollar amount they're at and what services they provided? I mean, would that be a way to keep everybody informed? Just a suggestion.
That might be able to be done in the committee,
Okay.
as part of a committee update, I would suggest.
Sure, we certainly
Just to
could.
keep track of it.
Sure.
Whatever, if it's transportation issue, then, and it's certainly if it's a transportation or utilities, any of our subcommittees, then we could update in those committees, as part of the reporting. And if it's an issue that needs to, if it's bigger and it doesn't apply in any one of those particular committees, it could go to finance.
Yeah, I mean, if there's 100 of them, I'm not suggesting we spend all this time doing this, but, you know, if there's 3 or 4 per department, can we just get an update on them, where they're at, and if we're coming up to a point where we might have to renew one? Just keep it simple.
Yep.
I think that's something
We'd be
probably
glad to.
we could work on. Yes, Mr. Lawler?
Real quick, going back to the traffic impact studies, and this may be more a question for Jerome, this does not change the procedure at all?
No, I just put it out there, and I just mentioned it to Jerome, because this firm has that expertise. If something came up, he wouldn't have to go hunt for another .95 contract.
And if they do this work on the traffic impact studies, the developer will still be paying for that just as they do now?
I would imagine so. I don't see why not, sure.
Yeah. Just make sure nothing's changed on that end.
Right.
So there's
Again,
no change in procedure.
Yeah, it's another thing that's just a tool in our toolbox to, you know, if the parish, if we wanted another opinion on something.
Or if there's a conflict or something of that sort.
Correct.
Yes. Okay, very good.
Very good. So we have a motion and a second to, did we have a motion? Yes, we did. Motion and a second to approve this contract. Are there any objections? Mr. Ogeron objects. All right, so there'll be a roll call soon.
Councilman Thomas?
Yes.
Councilman Robert?
Yes.
Councilman Turner,
Yes.
Councilman Ogeron,
No.
Councilman Dempsey Lambert,
Yes.
Councilman Walsall,
Yes.
Councilman Lawler,
Yes.
Councilman Wagasback,
Yes.
Councilman Cagnolati,
Yes.
Councilman Mason,
Coffee.
No, Councilman Mason had stepped out.
Chairwoman Casso.
Yes.
9, 1, and 1 abstention.
All right, moving on to item number 7, a planning and zoning recommendation to accept or deny the recommendation. A, zoning ID PZ-227.20, lot 391, formerly a portion of the Ruby Pollard property for Frank Credito, located on the north side of Airline Highway, approximately 3,400 feet east of John LeBlanc Boulevard, to amend the Ascension Parish zoning map from conservation to mixed-use corridor. To accept or deny, the zoning commission recommends approval of this rezone.
Motion.
Have a motion by Councilman Walsall,
Second.
second by Councilman Cagnolati. Are there any questions? Any objections? Hearing none, that motion passes. Did you, what did I do? I swear, John Cagnolati, your hand was up. Was not your hand up.
Motion to the left.
Okay, that was the wrong hand. I gotta make sure I see that blue sleeve. Oh, they both got blue sleeves. All right, so I have a motion by Councilman somebody and a second by Councilman somebody whose hand was up. And are there any objections? Hearing none, that motion passes. All right, at this time, I would like to ask my fellow councilmen to allow me, if they would, to move items J, K, L, M, N, and O up, just to take them up first in this order. I have a significant event that I would like to attend tonight, and I'm going to turn over the floor to the chairmanship to Councilman Vice Chair Turner as soon as we take those items up. If everybody is good with that, I would appreciate it. I think I talked to most of you, but for those I didn't, if you have any objections, say so now, or we're getting ready to do item J, which is nobody said anything fast enough. Reading of an ordinance to amend an ordinance adopted on December 5th, 2019, amending section 16-1 of the Ascension Parish Code of Ordinances adopted by the Ascension Parish Council on June 20, 1996, adopting a pay classification plan to add the positions Director, Transportation, Director, Health and Community Development, Director, Planning of Facilities Management, Drainage Engineer, and Infrastructure Grant Coordinator. And I think in light of an amendment that will be made, or will be offered up on one of the other upcoming items, we need to also amend, if it so is the wishes of this council, the Director of Planning and Facilities Management to read the Planning and Facilities Manager, Management, I think it's maintenance, isn't it, in the other one?
Planning and Facilities Maintenance Division.
Maintenance Division. So the chair would entertain a motion with that amendment, or without it if you prefer not.
I need to read it first.
Oh, I'm sorry, O'Neill, go right ahead.
Oh, okay, wait, you want to amend it as?
Yes.
Okay.
If you would.
What is it going to be amended to?
So it will say, under, where it says Director, Planning and Facilities Management, it should say
It doesn't say that in here. Okay, it's in the...
Planning and Facilities Maintenance Division. Is that okay?
To amend an ordinance adopted on December 5th, 2019, amending section 16.1 of the Ascension Parish Code of Ordinances adopted by the Ascension Parish Council on June 20th, 1996, adopting a pay classification plan. Whereas the Parish of Ascension, through the Ascension Parish Council under lawful session, passed an ordinance adopting an official pay classification plan. Whereas the original ordinance established a uniform system for reimbursing, promoting, and classifying Ascension Parish personnel. Whereas the plan was adopted last on December 5th, 2019, and is in further need of revision. Whereas the Human Resources Director prepared a new and improved pay plan. Whereas the Parish President accepted the revised plan and proposed said plan to the Parish Council for review. Therefore, be it ordained that the Ascension Parish Council does hereby authorize The amendment proposed Human Resources Department submitted by the parish president attached here to and made Exhibit A. This exhibit is available for office and review of the Ascension Parish Ascension Parish Human Resources Department. The ordinance shall be in full effect as submitted by law. The ordinance has been submitted to a vote. The vote thereon was as follows.
Chair would entertain a motion to open public hearing.
Motion.
Have a motion by Councilman Thomas, a second by Councilman Ogeron to open a public hearing. I don't have any commenters. I have a motion by Councilman Ogeron, a second by Councilman Cagney to close the public hearing. Chair would entertain a motion to move the ordinance.
Motion by Mason.
Thank you, Michael. Councilman Michael Mason made a motion, and the chair would entertain a second to move the ordinance.
Second.
Chair, I'll move
Second by Councilman Turner. Do we have any questions?
I move to amend this ordinance.
Second.
Did you read it as the?
I read the ordinance as, this is the attachment that you're looking to amend. So it's the exhibit, you need to amend the exhibit.
Looking at, I'm looking at the amending the ordinance. Some of the language in the ordinance, 1, 2, 3, the fourth whereas. Whereas Human Resources Director has prepared a new and improved pay plan.
Right.
I believe we need to remove the words "and improved." Human Resources Director has prepared a new pay plan. Ironically, there's been no discussion and no presentation doing a comparison between what the old pay plan was and what the new pay plan is. So I don't feel comfortable saying that it's an improved pay plan. Looking at this particular pay plan, noticing that we have positions that are listed on it that are not currently within the parish government. I shoot for an example, Director, Health and Community Development. We have others, that we have not yet approved as far as positions are concerned. Director of Planning and Facilities Management. Again, I'm not comfortable saying that it's an improved plan at this point. I think what we need to do, if we're going to include this as an ordinance, I think we need to keep it very clear that it is a new pay plan, and then give us the opportunity to vote on whether or not that's the route we should go. So my motion is to amend the ordinance to remove the language under the fourth whereas where it says "and improved."
Do you have a second to amend the motion?
Second.
Second. Coach got it.
Coach, second by Councilman Thomas to remove that language. Got that, O'Neill? Any other comments? Any questions? Any objections to this ordinance? Hearing none, that ordinance passes. Item M, reading of an ordinance to amend Chapter 2, Administration, Article 7, Departments of Parish Government, Section 2-21, created of the Ascension Parish Code of Ordinances adopted by the Ascension Parish Council to include additional departments and job qualifications for ratified personnel.
To amend Chapter 2, Administration, Article 7, Departments of Parish Government, Section 2-121, created of the Ascension Parish Code of Ordinances adopted by the Ascension Parish Council to include additional departments and job qualifications for ratified personnel. Whereas the Parish of Ascension, through the Ascension Parish Council in the lawful session, passed an ordinance of designated positions to be ratified by the Parish Council. Whereas the original ordinance established a uniform system for promoting and classifying Ascension Parish personnel. Whereas the plan was last amended on November 7, 2019, is in need of further revision. Whereas the Parish Council determined the current employee holding positions will have deemed to have met the qualifications. Now therefore be it ordained by the Ascension Parish Council does hereby amend the established qualifications for ratified positions attached hereto and made a part hereof as Exhibit A. This ordinance shall be in full effect as submitted by law. The ordinance has been submitted to a vote. The vote thereon was as follows.
Thank you. I think that there was a amendment submitted
Yes,
and
ma'am.
perhaps another amendment to be made.
There's,
Councilman Ogeron?
I move that we amend the ordinance as well as amend the exhibit. I have shared the amended ordinance, the language on the ordinance regarding the amended aspect. Actually, again, the fourth whereas, the council has determined that current employees holding the position will be deemed to have met the qualifications. My concern with that aspect, that language in the ordinance, and I'm looking to see who drafted it, because but it's, my concerns with that is, a new administration could come forward and deem that as being not necessary to ratify people that are currently holding their positions. And so I think what we should do is to, for clarification, remove that sentence from there so that people who need to be ratified will still be getting ratified. I'm concerned that we may have some unclarity going forward with that particular language. Did I clear that concern up? I see.
I was able, I think, earlier today to help Councilman Ogeron understand that this was originally done in November of 2019, and that whereas was interjected there in order to make sure that those staff members who were holding positions that we were making some pretty significant changes in were not going to be let go from their jobs. And so it's not relevant necessarily to this one. But I do agree that it's probably good to remove that language. Yes, Mr. Morrison.
Could we make a motion?
Yeah, you can amend the ordinance now, that's on the floor.
Well, I mean, can we make a motion to where we could take this line out?
Sure.
While also agreeing that the people in them positions today, we would be ratifying them in the same motion?
Well,
Ratification is a separate item.
this is not for ratification.
Okay.
This is just to creating the positions and the qualifications.
Yeah, I want to be perfectly clear. I have no intentions of the folks that we ratified 2 weeks ago having to bring them forward again to get them re-ratified.
No, I'm talking about for the new positions, the ones that we're creating. If we pass this language as it sits, wouldn't these three new positions?
No, they need to be ratified.
I mean, that's not what it says. The council has determined that current employee holding a position, that tells me that those current employees would be ratified.
You're just creating these positions.
The positions haven't even.
They can't hold a position that's not created yet. These positions do not exist today.
Yeah, I mean, but we're adding the positions, right? That's what this ordinance does,
Right.
add the positions. Whereas the council determined that current employees holding the position will be deemed to have met the qualifications. That tells me whoever has those job positions meets the qualifications and they get to keep them.
I would legally disagree. You don't have they can't be holding those positions because they don't exist.
Okay.
And they will be ratified shortly. I think we agreed on it, and their qualifications are all going to be presented. Are there any, yes, Mr. Cagnolati?
Madam Chair, I'm just looking at the language. I'm not a lawyer for sure, but whereas the council has determined, if we change that to read, whereas the council will determine that current employees holding the position will be deemed to have met the qualifications.
You would have to get a second for that to help me to cinnamon with what the procedure is here to amend the amendment. A substitute motion, there we go. Let's hold on.
Give me a headache. Like, I'm reading this as if we pass this amendment as it reads that the current employees would have the positions and meet the qualifications.
I don't read it the same way.
Okay.
I think it
Okay.
really
I'm
was.
sorry. And I'm
No, that's
talking
okay.
about
Look, that's why we got more than one of us here. If we all thought alike or read it the same, it would probably be odd. I really think that the reason this was inserted back in November of 2019, say again, was to protect those people who, there were some changes being made, the qualifications were being enhanced, and we did not want to affect those folks. We do not want them to have to be terminated because they did not meet the qualifications. And that is not going to be the case for the ratified folks that are going to be presented. So I think they do indeed meet the qualifications.
Travis, can you be the one lawyer to take up for me?
I got more lawyers up here than I know what to do with.
You know, I have to agree with O'Neill on this. I mean, the position is not there, so nobody's there, so.
Okay, all right.
Thank you. Mr. Lawler.
Yeah, once again, I'm going to agree with O'Neill on that also. I'm also going to have to disagree with John. I think if we change it to will determined, all we're doing is eviscerating the whole point of having qualifications, because the goal is to make sure we get qualified people in here, and if not, we have to have an 8-3 vote to have them put into place. And if we say we will determine that current employees, hold that position and they will be deemed to be qualified, there's potential, you can make the argument that we're eliminating that need to be qualified. So I think eliminating that whereas is proper. I also have a question, and this is, I believe, the entire thing, right? This is what we're talking about. We handed out, just making sure. When it comes to the parish council compliance officer, the very last line, it reads, this position is selected and hired by the governing authority and reports to the council chair. As I said here, I thought about it, and maybe this would not work, but my thought is to change that to this position is selected, hired, and serves at the pleasure of a majority of the council, serves at the pleasure of a majority of the governing authority and reports to the council chair. Meaning that we would both have the ability to hire and fire this person, and we wouldn't be separating the two. O'Neill, does that make sense?
I have no objection.
I've never seen that. I don't
Oh, that was
see
it?
that amendment.
I'm sorry. That is, Floyd hadn't gotten to that yet.
As the author of this amended motion, I have no objection to that language.
Madam Chair,
We've discussed
Would you care to
this.
make a substitute motion to add that
I'll
in?
withdraw my motion.
Yeah, I'm going to,
Would somebody make a copy available to O'Neill, please?
yeah. I was going to make a substitute motion then to add, just before I give up here. In addition to eliminating the fourth whereas, that the final line read, this position is selected, hired, and serves at the pleasure of a majority of the governing authority and reports to the council chair.
Madam Chair.
I would second that substitute motion.
I'm so glad I'll have that straight. Yes, Mr. President.
So how many employees does the council have now? Because, you're hiring and firing, this isn't a function for the administration, so I'm curious. Are y'all now going to have employees working for y'all and coming out of y'all's budget? Is that what we're doing here?
The council has 3 employees.
She's ratified to...
The council secretary is their supervisor.
Okay, so this person will work strictly for y'all?
Yes.
Correct? Correct. Okay.
Are there any questions? Mr. Cagnalone?
I withdraw my earlier motion.
It died for a lack of a second, sir. Yes, Mr. Robert?
I just wanted to state that I'm not a lawyer, but I also disagree with Chase.
Well, thank you so much, Joe.
Hey, Chase, you want my stick?
I'm done with all of you.
Councilman Ogeron has a bad knee and he's got a stick, so if we don't behave, we're all going to take a beating. Are there any questions, any further questions about the substitute motion? Mr. President has another.
So who's going to do the interviews and who's going to set up the process? Obviously not the administration, because y'all are hiring and interviewing and hiring and firing, correct? So this has nothing to do with the administration, is that correct?
No, sir.
Okay, so no HR, nothing. Y'all going to handle this strictly on the
No,
council
sir, that's
level?
not the case.
So
This will be an Ascension Parish employee that works for the council.
through the legislative branch, paid through the legislative branch.
Yes. That's my understanding of the intention. And so that person will certainly go through the process of HR, but the hiring will be done by the council.
Okay, I've just never seen y'all hire and fire anybody before, so, okay.
Well, we can have Mr. Parrington determine if the council can have an employee of this nature.
I would like that, if somebody would ask me that in advance.
Probably should have.
Well, I'm pretty sure, I just got approved on one thing, but doesn't the charter state that we can't hire and fire employees?
The president shall have the power to remove all employees, however, the governing authority shall have the power to reinstate them.
We're gonna change that.
We
That's what y'all to change. You can't change it. You don't get your department and
We're gonna change that.
your employees.
That's coming there.
it states in there that we can't even, the governing authority doesn't even have the right to direct an employee, much less hire somebody.
You need to change it.
We gotta go to the voter to beat it. The interpretation, may I?
Yes, you may.
Okay. The interpretation that I came with, and the reason why I'm presenting this, members of the council. A month ago, during one of our Zoom meetings, we agreed that we would consider going forward with this, and that we would all work together to try to alleviate the trend of distrust that I think everyone was beginning to feel here in parish government. I've worked in other parishes where this has taken place by an ordinance aspect, being able to create an ordinance that would put a position like this in place. Certainly no one has made a legal determination at this point, neither has a court made that decision, and I think ultimately, if we agree to disagree on the validity of this position, then obviously, there's always the route that we can take, to go to the third branch of government, to the district court, and have them make a determination for us. But I would hope that we would all agree that a month ago we had a moment where we came together and we said, you know what, that's a great idea, let's do this. And work together, and if it's not 100% clean, we work together to clean it up so that everyone is satisfied with the position, so that everyone is satisfied that we are moving forward and that we are working for all of the people of Ascension Parish. The determination is obviously, at this point in time, my understanding is we do not have this position in our budget. So obviously we cannot hire anybody until we start looking at the 2020-2021 budget. To make a determination if through finance and then through the full council, if we're going to take that step to create a budget necessary to process this position. Again, guys, I believe it's necessary for all of us so that we're all feeling better about what we're all doing out here. I also believe that the 11 folks sitting up here on this dais, we have day jobs. We're not always the ones most easily accessible to information from the administration. I know in talks with the parish president and some of his administration staff in the past, getting bombarded from 10, 11 of us asking for information is pretty tough. So this would provide us with an opportunity to have a single person being able to get the information that we're looking for. Getting information regarding what we're spending on payroll. We just had the questions regarding these $49,500 contracts. This person could do those things for us. We'd be able to get that information and provide it to the members of the council, to the governing authority, so that we would have more insight as to what's taking place. And I think, in the end, I think it cleans things up for everybody, and it makes everybody feel a lot more comfortable with each other. And so that's why I'm proposing that amendment based upon the language that is attached, that I provided to everybody around the board. So with that, that's my promotion for the amendment.
Well, and I'll make a comment. With my pretty faulty memory a lot of the time, I do remember that conversation that we had about having this position. I can tell you, Cinnamon can attest, that all last year, this was in 2019, it's not about this administration, 2019, all of 2019, I had conversations monthly about this need for the council to have someone who could help us to ensure that not only the laws we pass, but the laws we have passed are being complied with, or if they are not, that we bring it to the attention of legal counsel, that we do what we need to do with legal department to eliminate those things that are antiquated, together with the legal department, and make sure that we're not, that we are getting what we need done. I had problems with this for the last 8 years. And so it was my effort, and I'll get to you in just one second, Mr. President. It was my effort last year, and I appreciated that it got mentioned this year, but I think it was discussed that we would be certainly in a spirit of cooperation to have this done, and certainly that would mean including our HR department and others. I think the language may need, but based on the charter, may need some work. But I do believe if we table this maybe tonight and that particular position and do some work on that together, that we could come up with an appropriate guidelines around that job, and certainly an understanding with parish government that this is not about Mr. Quintlaw's administration. This started, was a request of mine for many months last year. And so anybody else have any comment they want to make? I'm going to go to Mr. Mason, whose hand is way up.
Yeah. As chair of the personnel committee, why did this not come through us?
Actually, Mr. Ogeron talked to me about it today, and
I feel like that should go through personnel, though.
I
This is
think
literally a personnel
that might be a good place
decision.
to defer that back to.
Yeah.
I like that, Michael. Thank you.
Also,
I'll make a motion to defer.
we can discuss this in personnel. Never mind. I'll talk about it in personnel.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I think that's a good idea.
I'll make a motion to defer it to personnel.
That particular piece.
Yeah,
Okay.
that position.
Okay.
I second.
I have a motion and a second to defer this particular piece, not any of the rest of this, to personnel to explore.
The piece we're talking about, the compliance.
The last
officer?
Yes, the parish compliance officer. Yes, Mr. President.
Can I just make one quick comment?
Yeah, absolutely you
Just
can.
one sentence.
Sure.
I'm just pointing out that I'm having a different conversation, y'all, because according to Section 422 of the Charter, members of the governing authority shall not direct or supervise parish employees or parish officers. I interpret that I don't even think we have the power to hire this person. I just think something is, so it is going to personnel, which is good, but I think we need O'Neill really deep into this to see if we even have the power to do such.
I don't disagree with you on
Okay,
that.
that's all I have, Chairwoman.
Absolutely. Any other comments? Mr. Robert?
From what you just said, Chase, we have the power, or we do not have the power to direct. So even if we were to hire this person, would we have the power to direct them? That's something else that I'd like to look at.
We certainly have an ordinance that gives us the authority to direct the council secretary. So I think it's possible. We'll have to figure out how that was done, but I certainly recall that. Any other questions, Mr.
Just real
Lamb?
quick, thank you, Chairwoman. And I had a conversation with the parish president today. He is starting to reach out. Let's face it, this overtaking of getting in office with the virus, storms, floods, and I think I told you this, parish president, when we first got started. There's going to be a lot of things happening, and I mean, it's just, I think we could come together with something and possibly work this stuff out. But folks, I'm telling you, we keep picking at these 49 deals, worrying about the people, contractors coming in here. Look, let me tell you what, it's hard to get people to come here and work. It doesn't matter at whatever level, but I think it starts at a trust at a level here where we can come together with something. And I think the best thing to do is bring it back to Mr. Mason's committee. So let's start back there.
Yeah, I think we have a motion and second for that. Mr. Quinlan.
Yeah, in the meantime of the discussion of the legalities of this and all of this, I have stated several times, and I want to do it again for clarification purposes. Any committee chair wants any information related to their committee, ask. You will receive anything. If you want to do an audit, do it. Do you want information? Ask for it. There is nothing, and I mean nothing, being hidden here. Zero. I don't know what struggles you had or you didn't have in past administrations. You want information? Ask. You want personnel committee information? Ask. You want finance committee? Ask. The chairwoman wants anything? Ask. There is nothing, and I mean absolutely nothing, that this administration has withheld from any council chair, committee chair, who has asked for information pertaining to their committee, or if the council chairwoman asked for it, has not received it. Nothing. Zero. If you want to look into 49, do it. Get an expert to come in here and run it. Yes, we can grow government. You can change the home rule charter. Let's put it to the people and go vote. But we talk about coming together, and I hear that all council meetings. And here we go saying, well, I don't trust, we need eyes because we part-time, and we don't trust the administration because we're not getting the information. You want it? Ask for it. It's free. It's public. I'm not hiding absolutely nothing. Zero. You want it? Ask for it. Simple as that. There's no Chinese secrets hiding anywhere. No vault or safe. Just ask. That's it. This is completely transparent. I'm not sure why we need to add another payroll position, but it's okay. If you want to create a position, but do it per the home rule charter. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Lawler.
Yeah, O'Neill, I have a question that may help solve some of this. Would there be a prohibition against us hiring, putting out an RFQ or an RFP or whatever, two of them it is, I was getting confused quite honestly, but to hire a independent contractor basically?
No, independent contractor would be fine.
Yeah, so we could go hire somebody, we could hire a law firm, a CPA firm that could work for us, and by ordinance we could give them authority to, to have access to all departments and anybody in parish government. That'd be one way around this, where we didn't have to go to a vote of the people and delay this so long. We just go hire either an entire law firm or CPA firm or individuals to do this for us. So I think there are ways around this that don't require us to go having to hire and fire people to council, which I think I do agree that we don't have those powers to do in this situation. So I think there's a solution there. Also, Mr. President, I ask that instead of limiting to committee chairs, that the entire council have the ability to ask questions and get information on any subject, because there's some people here that are not chairs, and I don't view them as second-class council people. Yes.
Yes, Mr. President.
Thank you, Chairwoman.
You're welcome.
I have had a concern shown from several councilmen that specific information is just given to one person. If one person asks, it will be distributed to all. I will hide nothing. I will give no one councilman preferential treatment over another.
Mr. President, you just said...
Are you going to let me speak? Or are you going to...
No, I'm not actually, because you just said
we're done
that...
Here.
No,
we're
please.
Done here.
You just said that only council chairs... Forgive me, I think we all heard this.
Council meeting, we're done.
You said that only council chairs could request information. Is that correct? Mr. President, is it correct that only council chairs, as per what you just said moments ago, is that correct? I think that all council people should be able to request information per the...
the procedure of a council meeting, I'll answer you, but you have yet to do so. You were not recognized, and you interrupted.
Then, please go ahead, Mr. President.
You're not the chair.
Gentlemen, please, we need to stop. Aaron, I do agree that you were not recognized, and I realize that there's passion involved here.
I'm sorry.
Absolutely. So I would like for us, I think we have a motion. Go ahead, Mr. Law.
I would respectfully like my question asked, and I will remain silent now, but if we could have all council people have the ability to ask questions per the charter, which states that the council has the ability to make investigation of parish affairs and make inquiries into the conduct of any department, office, or agency or special district of the parish, including the investigation of the accounts, records, and transactions of the department, office, agency, or special district. So I renew my question. I ask the parish president to answer, and I will not interrupt him this time.
Yes, please.
Thank you. if I have all 11 councilmen all bombarding me with emails, then that's all we do, okay? That's all my minister staff does. There's a reason for a procedure, and that's what it is. And if we can focus it through the committee chairs and respect the positions and authority that those chairs are given. If I'm answering to all 11 councilmen, that's all I'll do all day. And y'all say, why ain't things getting done? It's because I ain't got nothing time but run around and answer emails. That's why you need procedure, you need policy, for that very reason. Thank you.
Mr. Malonzo.
And we also, we use a lot of Cinnamon, right? She does a lot, for us. We go through Cinnamon. I know that's my normal course of action. I email her. She gets with administration. It's my 2 cents.
2 cents is welcome. Thank you very much. Mr. Ogeron.
My question is directed to the president. And again, it was not my intention to rattle this board tonight with the introduction of this. I thought we had all agreed a month ago that this was something that we would entertain. If the administration is opposition to the language regarding the compliance officer, is it limited to whose decision it is to retain that person and who that person answers to? Is that the issue? Because if it is, I believe we can all come up with some kind of a solution that would allow us to, as you said, streamline and funnel the questions directly to the administration, so that we could have a single source bombarding you with emails, as opposed to 11 sources bombarding you with emails. And so I'm just trying to figure out what we can do to work this thing through. And Madam Chair, if it's all right with you, I'd ask the president to address the questions for me.
And I'll remind everyone that we have a motion and a second to defer to personnel.
Right.
And Mr. President. Pardon?
Well, okay, but I guess my question is, what are we deferring back to personnel?
The discussion about this particular, just this beginning, preference may be given to applicants possessing qualifications above the minimum period, and we will take that next section.
So, where it says, parish council compliance officer in bold?
Yes.
Everything below that we would remove from the amended motion?
Right.
From the amended ordinance?
Right.
Okay.
And send that to personnel for discussion with legal. Yes, Cinnamon, you got something?
So you had an original, first of all, you didn't have a public hearing yet, so don't forget to open and close. You had an original motion by Corey to remove the fourth whereas in the actual ordinance.
Mm-hmm.
And then a substitute motion by Aaron to add this language for the parish council compliance officer. And then Joel's motion, which really needs to be an amended substitute motion to include everything you want in that amended substitute motion that Joel made. Not just to defer this to personnel.
Okay.
So it needs to include taking out the fourth whereas, deferring it to personnel, and I think that was it.
Okay.
So I just need to make a motion to...
Do just what Cinnamon said.
Yeah, exactly.
I second doing just exactly what Cinnamon said.
And Mr. Ogeron seconds doing exactly what you just said, Cinnamon. All right.
Can you repeat?
And do we have
Just for clarification, this motion is going to approve the ordinance without the whereas and without the compliance officer.
Correct.
And the compliance officer going to personnel.
I believe it's with the whereas, like changing the whereas? Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No, taking it out.
Removing the whereas.
Okay.
With the change that. Yeah.
That's a big motion. Absolutely. All right. So we have a motion and a second on that. Do we have any other discussion, or do we have any objections?
Madam Chair, there's only one other discussion that I have, and I noticed it earlier today when going through the qualifications for the various positions. I noticed that we're adding 2 new positions, which are the Director of the Department of Transportation and the Division Director of Planning and Facility Maintenance. we did not have a listing for job qualifications for the Department of Transportation. I would entertain that we, we get that information from the administration prior to filling that position, so that we can make a determination that whoever we want to fill that position meets those qualifications.
That is not a position that rises to the level of ratification, so it would
It does
not. No.
Oh,
Not
okay,
at
well
this
then,
time.
I will move that question then, thank you. Thank you for
Thank you very much.
clarification.
No problem. So, we have that very, leafy,
It says on here, it is the Department of Transportation, is a ratified.
are they gonna, forgive me.
That's one of the ones that we're adding.
We're gonna add that. Then we will need to get those, I'm sorry, thank you, Corey. Thank you,
Thank you,
O'Neill, for pointing that out. I didn't notice, I didn't look back to number 8. So we will need to get qualifications for that. Do you have them?
We do have them.
Oh, great. Then those need to be added. So we're gonna need to amend to add those qualifications. Do you want to read those, Mr. Diaz, would you like to, or would the President like to read those qualifications?
They were in the first ordinance, not the qualifications, but the titles were in the first ordinance. The qualifications aren't in the second ordinance to match those titles.
Okay, excellent. Do we need to add them, O'Neill, in your opinion, do we need to add them here as well?
If you're gonna add them by ordinance, you do, you need to add them in now.
Madam,
Well, if you don't have them,
We've got them, and we have them in the, assuming you're saying it's in the,
No, the qualifications aren't in the second ordinance. It's just the titles in the first ordinance that they added.
that's what Mr. Ogeron was pointing out. So let's add those qualifications in at this time, if we can. We need to hear what they are,
right.
and then we'll add them in, and that way this is finished, Mr. President.
I just want to stress, this is why we have committees. So that
Excuse me, sir?
This is why we have committees, so all this is taken care of in Personnel Committee, and this would have all been done. We have to utilize our committee so that this is done prior to, and we don't have all this confusion. Because we don't have and we're gonna what? I mean, we don't even have them.
Okay.
This is why we utilize the committees, but.
I don't think, I'm going to respectfully, sir, disagree with you that we would have had to go to personnel about ratified positions. I don't think that's accurate, but I'm happy to entertain tonight getting these job descriptions into this so that this is a complete ordinance and we don't have to come back to it. Yes, Mr.
Well, Madam Chair, I think I've got a simple solution to that. We're sending the compliance officer back to personnel.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't we send the Director of Transportation back to personnel? They're meeting next week, I believe, or if they're not, we could make them meet next week. We could put all of that in that discussion at that point there and have those two positions ready to be added to this motion, this ordinance at the next council meeting.
I'm afraid that might delay our ratification process, was my...
Well, there's 120 days to ratify them.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think we've got 120 days to do so. From the date that the position is created, we have 120 days to ratify those individuals.
Mr. Diaz, if you would review those...
No, that's the will of the committee, but, the council, but it was a requirement of a civil engineering degree, and experience. So, apologize we didn't have it with us, but also too, I reached out to, Councilman Mason, to start next week, because a lot of these descriptions are just something we carried over from the previous administration.
Mm-hmm.
And we wanted to start with the 133 level, which is the level below parish president, and the 128 level, and literally sit there in workshops and read through all of them and decide if this is really the qualifications we want. And the biggest solution to all that is we're a lot of new people around here, and we don't know what's in a lot of these things. So it just gives us an opportunity, just like some of these meetings we've held before, so that we all know what's in them. And if we don't like it, that's the opportunity to do some due diligence and come back with some structural changes. So I'm fine with delaying it if you guys are
Okay. I did not, again, I was trying to adhere to our timeline on ratification that we had discussed previously, but I'm happy to do that as well. So, Cinnamon, help me understand where we are. I can't talk to all these guys, listen to all of them, and keep up with the, with where we are in this motion as well.
Adopt the ordinance as it is, and then come back and amend it to add those qualifications, is that what you're saying?
After it's been reviewed by personnel?
Yeah, you'd have to amend the ordinance after it's been reviewed by personnel and come back and amend the ordinance.
For those two positions?
For those two positions.
Okay.
For just those two positions, okay.
Very good. So, Joel, are you willing to include that in your substitute motion?
Including the two positions?
The reason I don't want to include that is because they're two complete different positions with two different timelines in my mind. I think the one with the compliance officer is going to take more due diligence and time, so I hesitate in grouping those together.
Okay.
Chairman. So that would require another motion, another supplemental amended motion to include?
No.
No, I don't think so. But
Putting the two together shouldn't affect the timing of anything in the committee. We're just voting on where we're sending it, not how long it'll take.
Yeah.
Right?
correct. You're just voting on what you have right now in front of you.
Okay.
Approving it or not, amend it or not. And then if you want to go to personnel and come back and amend it, then you can certainly do that by amending the ordinance.
Okay.
So Joel has a substitute motion,
Yes.
and we will go with that original substitute motion and deal with the other issues later.
Right.
All right? And there was a second for that. Are there any other discussions or questions? Are there any objections? Hearing none, that motion passes.
Can't wait to go back and watch that.
Pardon?
I can't wait to go back and watch that.
Cinema's gonna have to watch all of that. Bless her.
At least you didn't curse this time, so.
One time.
Oh, wait a minute, we didn't have a public hearing. That is not we did not pass that. We need a motion and second. to
Motion
open the
for public hearing.
Mr. Malonson, Mr. Lawler,
Motion to
are there any commenters? There are none.
Motion to close public hearing.
Second.
Vote. Thank you very much. Motion second to close the public hearing. Now I need a motion to move the ordinance.
Move the ordinance.
Motion.
Are there any any objections? Thank you very much. That motion passes. And I can tell you, this has been my ugliest one. Not personality-wise, just trying to stay abreast of what's happening in this meeting. Thank y'all all for your patience. It's been a little complicated. Cinnamon, thank you very much for your patience. And I am going to turn the chair over to Councilman Turner, and I am going to let you all take up the rest of this agenda.
Okay, with that, we have agenda item 8A, reading of an ordinance to revoke a 25-foot drainage servitude running across the eastern portion of Lot 2C1 owned by Dennis P. Powell, located on Wayne Floyd Road, Gonzales.
To revoke a 25-foot drainage servitude running across the eastern portion of Lot 2C1 owned by Dennis P. Powell. Property is depicted on the map showing re-subdivision of Lot 2C, a portion of the Ernest Floyd property, Lots 2C1 and 2C2 by G. Wayne Sledge of GWS Engineering, Inc., dated December 20th, 2002, and recorded at instrument number 532554, whereas the petition of Dennis P. Powell is petitioning the Ascension Parish Council to revoke the 25-foot drainage servitude running across the eastern portion of Lot 2C1 owned by Dennis P. Powell. Property is depicted on the map showing re-subdivision of Lot 2C, a portion of the Ernest Floyd property, into Lots 2C1 and 2C2 by G. Wayne Sledge of GWS Engineering, dated December 20th, 2002, and recorded instrument number 532554. And whereas the Planning Department and Engineering Department have reviewed and researched said request and have no objection to the revocation. The Parish of Ascension hereby ordains that it ordains to revoke the 25-foot drainage servitude running across the eastern portion of Lot 2C1 owned by Dennis P. Powell. Property is depicted by the map showing re-subdivision of lots 2C, a portion of the Ernest Floyd property, into lots 2C1 and 2C2 by G. Wayne Sledge of GWS Engineering, Inc., dated December 20th, 2002, and recorded at instrument number 532554, used as the basis of the exhibit attached hereto and made a part hereof as Exhibit A. All ordinance or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith are hereby and henceforth repealed. If any provision of the ordinance is held invalid, such invalidity shall not affect the other provisions herein, which shall be given effect without the invalid provisions. And to the end of the provisions of this ordinance are hereby declared severable, the ordinance shall be effective in 15 days after adoption. The ordinance has been submitted to a vote. The vote thereon was as follows.
Motion
public hearing.
Open public hearing by Councilman Chase Malonzo, seconded by Councilman Mason.
Motion to close.
Motion to close by Councilman Malonzo and seconded by Councilman Mason. I don't think we need a second. Motion to move.
Oh, so moved.
Motion to move ordinance.
Motion to move the order by Councilman Malonzo, seconded by Councilman Mason. I don't have the gavel, but motion passes.
She took it?
Well, it's over there.
She took the gavel.
Go to item 8D, reading of our ordinance to revoke 25-foot, to revoke 5 foot of 20-foot drainage servitude running along the east property line of lot 177 in Old Dutchtown, for filing, owned by John Natasa. I apologize if I pronounce your name incorrect. Move to council via UDC 17.4050 B2A.
To revoke 5 feet of a 20-foot drainage servitude running along the eastern property line of lot 177 owned by John Nastasi, property as depicted on the final plat of Old Dutchtown, fourth filing, being a portion of the Andrew J. Babin et al. And Edward Burdo et al. Properties by G. Wayne Sledge, GWS Engineering, Inc., dated March 23rd, 2007, and recorded in instrument number 663896. Whereas the petitioner, John Nastasi, has petitioned the Ascension Parish Council to revoke 5 feet of a 20-foot drainage servitude running along the eastern property line of lot 177 owned by John Nastasi. Property is depicted on the final plat of Old Dutchtown, fourth filing, being a portion of the Andrew J. Babin et al. And Edward Burdo et al. Properties by G. Wayne Sledge, GWS Engineering, Inc., dated March 23rd, 2007, and recorded in instrument number 663896. And whereas the Planning Department and Engineering Department have reviewed and researched said request and have no objection to the revocation, the Parish of Ascension hereby ordains that it grants approval to revoke 5 feet of a 20-foot drainage servitude running along the eastern property line of lot 177 owned by John Nastasi. Property is depicted on the final plat of Old Dutchtown, fourth filing, being a portion of the Andrew J. Babin et al. And Edward Burdo et al. Properties by G. Wayne Sledge of GWS Engineering, Inc., dated March 23rd, 2007, and recorded at instrument number 663896, used as the basis of the exhibit attached hereto and made a part of Exhibit A. All ordinance or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith are hereby and henceforth repealed. If any provision of this ordinance held invalid, such invalidity shall not affect other provisions herein which shall be given effect without the invalid provisions. And to this end, the provisions of this ordinance are hereby declared severable. The ordinance shall be effective 15 days after adoption. The ordinance has been submitted to a vote. The vote thereon was as follows.
Motion to open public hearing.
Second. Motion to open public hearing by Councilman Mason, second by Councilman Cagliari.
Motion to close.
Motion to close by Councilman Lawler, second by Councilman Dempsey Lambert.
Motion move ordinance.
Motion moved on by Councilman Malonzo, second by Councilman Mason. I have one quick question by Councilman Malonzo.
Hey, Mr. Ryan, real quick. I know we've had a lot of discussions over the last few months about these servitudes not being enough. I mean, you're okay with this? You know, I know it's only 5 foot, but
Yeah,
I know it put y'all in a bind.
this particular one, there was several 15-foot servitudes at the rear, and this particular one, for some reason, was 20.
Okay.
And it was just a 15, I would say, is the minimum that we would even consider. So moving forward, you won't see anything less than 15, I wouldn't think.
Okay, thank you.
We have no objection, the ordinance passes. Go to item 8G, reading of our ordinance to create a road infrastructure district, RID, designated as Parish of Ascension Road Infrastructure District number IDD-2020-02, the cottages at Savannah Row, pursuant to the Ascension Parish Unified Land Development Code, LDC, Appendix 4, Subdivision Regulations, Section 17-4011, approval of final plat procedure F, Infrastructure Development District.
To create a road infrastructure district designated as the Ascension Parish Road Infrastructure District, IDD 202002, pursuant to Ascension Parish Unified Land Development Code, Appendix 4, Subdivision Regulations, Section 174011, approval of final plat, procedure F, Infrastructure Development District, whereas Ascension Parish as a local government subdivision is defined by Article 6, Section 44, Louisiana Constitution, 1974. Whereas the Parish of Ascension is the governing responsible body over subdivisions. Whereas Article 6 of the Home Rule Charter of Ascension Parish adopted May 4th, 1993 identifies the process and manner in which to adopt ordinances regulating the lands of this parish. And now therefore be it ordained the Ascension Parish governing authority that a road infrastructure district designated as Ascension Road Infrastructure District IDD 202002 be created pursuant to Unified Land Development Code of Ascension Parish, Appendix 4, Subdivision Regulations, Section 174011, approval of final plat procedure F, Infrastructure Development District with the boundaries of the Road Infrastructure District as defined and is made a part of the subdivision of Ascension Parish named the Cottages at Savannah Row subdivision is more fully described in Exhibit A. Petition and exhibit to create Ascension Parish Road Infrastructure District attached hereto and made a part hereof. In the event any portion of this ordinance is ever held invalid or unconstitutional for any reason by any court of competent jurisdiction over it, such portion shall be deemed separate, distinct, and independent provisions shall not affect the remaining portions of the ordinance. The ordinance shall be in full effect as permitted by law. The ordinance has been submitted to a vote. The vote thereon was as follows.
Motion to public hearing.
Second.
Motion on the public hearing by Councilman Longsaw, seconded by Councilman Cagnolati.
Motion to close public hearing.
Second.
Motion to close by Councilman Robert, seconded by Councilman Lawler.
Motion approved.
Motion approved by Councilman Longsaw,
Second.
seconded by Councilman Robert. No objection. Motion passes.
Motion adjourned.
Second.
Got an objection?
Meeting adjourned.